Hello everyone, and welcome back to Project Moon Audiobooks. Today's episode is part 8 of the Odyssey, and we'll cover books 18, 19, and 20. I hope you enjoy. Book 18, Two Beggars. Then came a man who begged throughout the town of Ithaca, notorious for greed. He ate and drank non-stop, so he was fat but weak, with no capacity for fighting. The name his mother gave him as a child was Arnias, but all the young men called him Iris, because he was their messenger. Now this man tried to chase Odysseus from his own home, and cursed him.
"Get away, old man, get out, or else you will be dragged out by the foot. Do you not see the suitors winking to tell me I must throw you out? This is embarrassing for me. I must make you get up right now, or we must fight."
Scowling at him, Odysseus said,
"Fool! I did not do you wrong or speak against you. I am not jealous of another beggar receiving gifts, however much he gets. This doorway can accommodate us both. Do not hog all the wealth. It is not yours. You seem to be a homeless man, like me. Gods give all mortal blessings. Do not stir me to fight or lose my temper. I am old, but I will crack your ribs and smash your face to bloody pulp. Then I will have a day of peace tomorrow. You will not return here to the palace of Odysseus."
Iris the vagabond was furious.
"This greedy pig yaks on like some old woman scrubbing an oven. I will hurt him, punch him two-fisted, and rip out his teeth, as farmers pull out the tusks from pigs that damage crops. Get ready, let them watch. How could you be so dumb to pick a fight with someone younger?"
So on the threshold at the palace doors, their furious aggression reached its peak. Antinous, that saintly lord, incited the fight, and with a chuckle told the suitors, "My friends, we never had so fine a show brought to this house before. The gods be thanked, these two are getting ready for a brawl. Quick, let us goad them on." They all jumped up, laughing, and gathered round the ragged beggars. Antinous addressed them. "Listen, suitors. Goat stomachs stuffed with fat and blood are roasting over the fire for dinner. Let the beggar who wins the fight choose one of these and take it, and he can always eat with us in the future, and we will let no other beggar come to share our company." They all agreed. The strategist Odysseus deceived them, saying,
"My friends, there is no way a man as old as me, worn down by suffering, can fight a younger man. My hunger forces bad choices, tempting me to take the beating. But swear a mighty oath that none of you will step up to help Iris out and hit me roughly with fists and make me lose to him."
All of them swore the oath as he had asked. The holy prince Telemachus said, "Guest, if your brave spirit urges you to fight against this challenger, you need not worry about the others. Anyone who strikes you will face a multitude. I am your host. Eurymachus and this Antinous are sensible, and they agree with me." They all consented, and Odysseus took off his rags and tied them round his waist, revealing massive thighs and mighty shoulders, enormous chest and sturdy arms. Athena stood near him and increased his strength, to suit the shepherd of the people. All the suitors were flabbergasted, and they said,
"This means the end of Iris, brought upon himself. What muscles underneath the old man's rags!"
Iris was deeply troubled and afraid. His heart sank. But the house slaves made him gird his tunic and get ready. He was shaking. Antinous said, "Ha ha, you big show-off. You would be better dead than so afraid of some old man worn down by suffering. If this man beats you, proving he is stronger, I will toss you on board a ship and send you off to King Audius in mainland Greece, the lord of cruelty and pain. He will cut off your nose and ears with pitiless bronze, and then your genitals, and he will give them raw to his dogs to eat." These words increased his shakiness. Escorted to the ring, he stood. Both raised their fists. Odysseus, who had endured so many insults, wondered if he should hit him hard enough to kill him, or give him just a tap to knock him down. A light touch would be best, he thought, in case the suitors cottoned on. They came to blows. First Iris hit Odysseus's shoulder. Odysseus punched Iris on his neck below the ear and broke his jaw. Red blood gushed from his mouth, and with a moan he fell, teeth chattering, legs flailing. Then the suitors threw up their hands to cheer and died of laughter. Odysseus seized Iris by the foot, dragging him through the gateway to the courtyard, and propped him by the wall. He put a staff into his hand and said, "Sit there and keep the dogs and pigs away. You good-for-nothing. You must not bully visitors and beggars, or you will suffer even worse than this." Then picking up his ragged bag, he slung it across his shoulders by the strap and sat beside the door again. The suitors went inside and raised their cups. "May all the gods and Zeus give you your heart's desire. That Iris was sponging everywhere, the greedy pig. You put a stop to him, and we will send him to Auditus, the king of mass destruction." Odysseus was thrilled to hear this omen. Antinous set out the big goat's stomach, stuffed full of blood and fat, in front of him. Amphinomus provided 2 bread baskets and a gold cup of wine, and welcomed him. "Sir, be our guest, and may your future luck be good, though now you have so many troubles." Odysseus replied, his wits about him.
"Amphinomus, you seem intelligent, like Nisus of Dulichium, your father. I heard about his wealth and excellence, and that you are his son. You are well spoken. Take note of what I say. Of all the creatures that live and breathe and creep on earth, we humans are weakest. When the gods bestow on us good fortune, and our legs are spry and limber, we think that nothing can ever go wrong. But when the gods bring misery and pain, we have to bear our suffering with calm. Our mood depends on what Zeus sends each day. I once had what most people count as wealth, great riches. I committed many crimes, of violence, abuses of my power, abetted by my brothers and my father. No one should turn away from what is right. A man should quietly accept whatever the gods may give. I see how wickedly the suitors are behaving, wasting wealth and failing to respect the wife of one who will soon come back to his family and homeland. Very soon. May spirits guide you home, so you do not meet him when he comes. When he confronts the suitors in this hall, there will be blood."
He poured an offering of sweet wine to the gods, and took a sip, then passed the cup back to Amphinomus, who took it, and then paced around the house, troubled at heart, his head bowed low. He saw the danger in his mind. But he was not fated to live. Athena had condemned him to be defeated by Telemachus with his strong spear. Amphinomus sat down on the same chair that he sat on before. Athena, with her gray eyes glinting, gave thoughtful Penelope a new idea, to let the suitors see her, so desire would open up inside them like a sail, and so her son and husband would respect her. Mysteriously, she laughed, and told her slave, "Eurynome, I have a new desire, to let the suitors see me, though I hate them. I also want to give my son advice, not to spend so much time with those proud men. They talk impressively, but their intentions are bad." Eurynome replied, "My child, your words make sense, but you should wash and oil your skin, not go with blotches on your face to have this conversation with your son. You should not grieve forever, and your boy is older now. You always beg the gods to let you see him grown up with a beard." Penelope replied with circumspection, "Eurynome, I know you care for me, but do not tell me I should wash myself and put on oil. The gods destroyed my beauty that day my husband left in hollow ships. Go call my slave girls, Hippodamia and Autonoe. They must come with me into the hall. I do not want to go to meet the men alone. It would be shameful." So the old woman went and called the girls. Athena's eyes were bright with plans. She poured sweet sleep onto Penelope, who lay down on her couch. Her joints relaxed. She slept. Athena gave her gifts of godlike power, to make the men astonished when they saw her. She put ambrosial beauty on her face, the kind that Aphrodite, wreathed in myrtle, uses before she dances with the Graces. She also made her shapelier and taller, and made her skin more white than ivory. The goddess left. The girls came in. Their talking woke up the queen. She felt her cheeks and said, "Despite my bitter grief, a peaceful sleep enveloped me. If only Artemis would bring me gentle death right now to end my misery. I waste my life in longing for my beloved husband, who was good at everything, the best of the Achaeans." She went down from her sunny room upstairs. The 2 slaves went with her. She reached the suitors, and stood beside the central pillar, holding her gauzy veil before her face. Her 2 trustworthy slaves stood either side of her. The suitors weakened at the knees. Desire bewitched them, and they longed to lie with her. She spoke to her dear son, Telemachus. "Telemachus, you are not thinking straight. When you were still a child, you had good sense. Now you are bigger. You have reached adulthood. You are so tall and so good-looking now. People can see you are a rich man's son. Even a foreigner would know at once. And yet your judgment is askew. What happened, that you allowed a guest to be insulted? If strangers in our house are so abused, what then? You will be shamed. Your reputation will be destroyed." Telemachus replied with calculated purpose. "Mother, I do not blame you for being angry. In my heart, I do know right and wrong. I used to be a child. I am not now. But I cannot even afford to think my own heart's thoughts. Those evil suitors keep distracting me, and I have no one on my side. This fight between the stranger and that beggar Iris did not turn out as they had wished. The stranger was much the stronger. Father Zeus, Apollo, Athena, may the suitors in our house be beaten and bow down their heads, some in the house and some outside. May each man's body grow weak, like Iris, out there at the gate, sitting with head slumped down as if he were intoxicated. He cannot stand up nor go back home. His body is too frail." And then Eurymachus spoke up and said, "O Queen Penelope, wise, prudent daughter of great Icarius, if all the Greeks could see you now, there would be far more suitors feasting here in your house, from dawn to dusk, because no other woman equals you in beauty, stature, and well-balanced mind." Penelope replied with caution, "No, the deathless gods destroyed my looks that day the Greeks embarked for Troy, and my own husband Odysseus went with them. If he came and started taking care of me again, I would regain my good name and my beauty. I am weighed down by grief. A spirit set so many troubles on me. At the time that he left Ithaca, my husband grabbed my wrist, took my right hand, and said to me, 'Now, wife, I do not think we armored Greeks will all come home unharmed from Troy. They say the Trojans are good warriors, with arrows and javelins, and they ride chariots drawn by swift horses, which can quickly turn the tide of war, in which so many die. Some god may bring me home, or I may be captured out there in Troy. I do not know. You must remember this. My parents need to be well cared for in our house, as much as now or more so with me gone away. When our son's beard has grown, you must get married to any man you choose and leave your house.' Those were my husband's words. The time has come. The night when I must marry is at hand. Terrible! I am cursed! Zeus took away my happiness. Another bitter thought oppresses me. It is not right or proper to court a decent woman in this way. A rich man's wife, competing for her hand. They ought to bring fat sheep and cows to feed my family and give fine gifts, not eat what is not theirs and offer nothing back." Odysseus, who had endured so much, was happy she was secretly procuring presents and charming them with pretty words, while her mind moved elsewhere. Antinous said, "Wise Penelope, take all the presents that any of the Greeks would like to bring. Refusing gifts is not polite. But we will not go back to our own farms or elsewhere until you choose the best of us to marry." They all agreed and sent their men for gifts. Antinous brought out a splendid robe, patterned, and with 12 brooches of pure gold pinned to the fabric. And Eurymachus gave her a necklace, finely worked in gold, set in with amber beads that shone like sunlight. 2 slaves brought earrings from Eurydamas. They sparkled beautifully, and triple clusters like berries hung from each. Pisander's slave brought her a lovely choker, finely made. All of the suitors gave her different gifts. The queen went upstairs to her room. Her slaves carried the splendid presents. Then the suitors turned back to watch the dancing and enjoy the captivating music. They stayed there in pleasure till black evening came. They set 3 braziers to light the whole great hall, stuffed with dry wood, well seasoned and fresh cut, combined with kindling. The slave girls owned by firm Odysseus took turns to light them. The king himself had all his wits about him, and said,
"Slave girls, Odysseus, your master, has been long gone. Go back and sit beside the queen and comfort her. Spin yarn or comb the wool. I can provide these men with light. If they decide to stay here till bright dawn rides on her lovely throne, I will not be defeated. I am tough."
At that, the other girls began to giggle, peeking at each other. Pretty Melantho, child of Dolius, had been brought up by Queen Penelope, who gave her toys and treated her just like a daughter. But Melantho, unconcerned about Penelope, was sleeping with Eurymachus. She started to insult Odysseus and taunt him.
"Poor old stranger, you are insane. You did not want to sleep out in the smithy or the public shelter. Instead, you come here talking high and mighty among this crowd of men. Are you not scared? Wine may have dulled your senses, or perhaps you always say such idiotic things. Has your defeat of Iris made you crazy? That beggar. Then watch out, a better man may fight you soon, and punch your face so hard you will be kicked out of this house all drenched in blood."
Odysseus scowled back and said,
"You little dog! I will soon go and tell Telemachus what you have said, so he can slice you limb from limb."
That made the women tremble with fear. They thought he spoke the truth. They scattered through the house. He took his stand beside the braziers to keep them lit, and looked at all the suitors. In his heart he formed his plans, which soon would be fulfilled. Athena wanted pain to sink down deep inside Odysseus. She made the suitors keep taunting him. Eurymachus was jeering to make the others laugh.
"Now listen, suitors. I have an intuition that this man has come into Odysseus's house through some god's will. His head is shining brightly under the lantern's light. Perhaps because he is completely bald."
And then he turned and asked Odysseus, the city sacker, "Stranger, if I was hiring, would you like to labor on a distant farm for me? You would be paid, for sure, if you could plant tall trees and build stone walls, and I would give you your meals all year and clothes, including footwear. But you are only skilled at wickedness. You have no wish to work. You like to beg, traipsing around to stuff your greedy belly." Crafty Odysseus said, "How I wish, Eurymachus, that we could have a contest in springtime in the meadow, when the days are growing longer. I would have a scythe of perfect curvature, and so would you. The grass would be abundant. We would test our skill by working all day long, not eating until late evening. Or if we could plow using a pair of fine and well-fed oxen, strong and both equal in their power to pull, and if we had 4 acres of good soil, then you would see if I know how to cut a furrow straight. Or if Zeus suddenly made war begin tomorrow, and I had 2 spears, a shield, and a helmet all of bronze close fitted to my head, you would see me amid the throng of fighters at the front, and you would not hurl insults in my belly. You act aggressive, and you think you are a big, strong man, because you spend your time among this tiny group of low-born louts. But if Odysseus appeared, the doors, which are quite wide, would start to seem too narrow, as you were struggling to get away." Scowling with rage, Eurymachus replied, "You nasty hobo! I will make you pay for showing off in front of all of us. You should be scared. The wine has made you stupid. Or maybe you are always talking nonsense, or you are all puffed up from having won over the beggar Iris." Then he hurled a footstool at Odysseus, who ducked behind Amphinomus in fear. It hit the right hand of the slave boy serving wine. The wine jug fell and clattered on the ground. The boy fell backwards on the dust and moaned. The suitors' shouts resounded through the shadows. "Too bad this foreign drifter did not die before he came here, causing all this bother. These arguments with beggars are disrupting our banquet. It is spoiling our nice evening. This silly fuss is dominating things." Telemachus spoke up with dignity. "Most noble lords, this is insanity. Perhaps you dined too well, or else some god is stirring you. Now you have finished dinner, go home and sleep, whenever you are ready. I will not force you out." They bit their lips, surprised at the self-confidence he showed. Amphinomus, the famous son of Nisus, grandson of Lord Odysseus, spoke out to all of them. "My friends, what he has said was fair. No one need take offense. Do not abuse the stranger, nor the slaves who work in great Odysseus's house. The boys should fill the cups with wine, so we can pour libations, then go home. Telemachus can take care of the stranger. After all, the beggar came to his house." They agreed, and Mollius, the slave Amphinomus had brought there from Dulichium, mixed wine for all of them and shared the drinks around. They poured libations to the gods and sipped the cheering wine. When they had had enough, each of them went back home to his own bed. Book 19. The Queen and the Beggar. Odysseus was left there in the hall, and with Athena, he was hatching plans for how to kill the suitors. Words flew fast.
Telemachus, we have to get the weapons and hide them. When the suitors see them gone and question you, come up with good excuses. You can explain. The soot had damaged them. When King Odysseus marched off to Troy, their metal gleamed. Now they are growing dull. I put them safe away from all that smoke. Some spirit also warned me if you drink too much and argue, you could hurt each other, dishonoring your banquet and your courtship. Weapons themselves can tempt a man to fight.
Telemachus obeyed his father's word. He summoned Euryclea, and he told her, "Shut up the women in their rooms, while I carry my father's weapons to the storeroom. They have got dirty since my father left when I was just a little boy. I want to keep them safe, protected from the smoke." The loving nurse said, "Child, I wish you would take charge of all the household management and guard the wealth. Which girl should bring the torch? You said the slaves were not allowed to walk in front of you." He said, "This stranger will. A man who eats my bread must work for me, even if he has come from far away." She made no answer, but locked up the doors that led inside the hall. Odysseus and his bright boy jumped up and got the helmets and studded shields and pointed spears. Athena stood by them with a golden lamp. She made majestic light. Telemachus said, "Father, my eyes have noticed something very strange. The palace walls, the handsome fir-wood rafters and crossbeams, and the pillars high above are visible, as if a fire were lit. Some god from heaven must be in the house." But cautiously, Odysseus replied,
"Hush! No more questions. Discipline your thoughts. This is the way of gods from Mount Olympus. You need to go to bed. I will stay here, to aggravate the slave girls and your mother, and make her cry, and let her question me."
Telemachus went through the hall, lit up by blazing torches, to his room. Sleep came, and there he lay till dawn. Odysseus stayed in the hall, still plotting with Athena how to destroy the suitors. Then the queen, her wits about her, came down from her room, like Artemis or golden Aphrodite. Slaves pulled her usual chair beside the fire. It was inlaid with whorls of ivory and silver, crafted by Icmalius, who had attached a footstool, all in one. A great big fleece was laid across the chair, and pensively Penelope sat down. The white-armed slave girls came and cleared away the piles of bread, the tables, and the cups, from which the arrogant suitors had been drinking. They threw the embers from the braziers onto the floor, and heaped fresh wood inside them for light and warmth. And then Melantho scolded Odysseus again. "Hey, stranger! Will you keep causing trouble, roaming round our house at night and spying on us women here? Get out, you tramp! Be happy with your meal, or you will soon get pelted with a torch. Be off!" Odysseus began to scowl, and made a calculated speech.
"Insane! You silly girl, why are you mad at me? Because I am all dirty, dressed in rags, and begging through the town? I have no choice. That is how homeless people have to live. I used to have a house, and I was rich, respectable, and often gave to beggars. I helped whoever came, no matter what. I had a lot of slave girls, too, and all the things we count as wealth. The happy life. Zeus ruined it. He must have wanted to. Girl, may you never lose the rank you have among the other slave girls. If your mistress gets angry, or Odysseus arrives, it might still happen. But if he is dead and never coming back, his son is now a man, praise be Apollo. He will notice any misconduct from the women here. He is a grown-up now."
Penelope had listened warily, and now she spoke to scold the slave. "You brazen, shameless dog! What impudence! I see what you are doing. Wipe that impertinent expression off. You knew quite well, I told you so myself, that I might keep the stranger in the hall to question him about my missing husband. I am weighed down by grief." And then she turned to tell Eurynomy, "Bring out a chair and put a cushion on it, so this stranger can sit and talk with me. I want to ask him some questions." So the woman brought a chair of polished wood and set a cushion on it. Odysseus knew how to bide his time. He sat, and circumspect Penelope began the conversation. "Stranger, first I want to ask what people you have come from. Who are your parents? Where is your hometown?" Cunning Odysseus said,
"My good woman, No mortal on the earth would speak against you. Your glory reaches heaven. You must be the daughter of a holy king who ruled a mighty people with good laws. His rule made the black earth grow wheat and barley. Trees were full of fruit. The sheep had lambs. The sea provided fish, and people thrived. This is your house. You have the right to question me, but do not ask about my family or native land. The memory will fill my heart with pain. I am a man of sorrow. I should not sit in someone else's house lamenting. It is rude to keep on grieving. The slaves, or even you, might criticize and say my tearfulness is caused by wine.
Penelope said cautiously, "Well, stranger, the deathless gods destroyed my strength and beauty the day the Greeks went marching off to Troy, and my Odysseus went off with them. If he came back and cared for me again, I would regain my beauty and my status. But now I suffer dreadfully. Some god has ruined me. The lords of all the islands, Same, Delichium, and Zacynthus, and those who live in Ithaca, are courting me, though I do not want them to, and spoiling my house. I cannot deal with suppliants, strangers and homeless men who want a job. I miss Odysseus. My heart is melting. The suitors want to push me into marriage, but I spin schemes. Some god first prompted me to set my weaving in the hall and work a long, fine cloth. I said to all my suitors, although Odysseus is dead, postpone requests for marriage till I finish weaving this sheet to shroud Laertes when he dies. My work should not be wasted, or the people in Argos will reproach me, if a man who won such wealth should die without a shroud. They acquiesced. By day I wove the web, and in the night by torchlight I unwove it. I tricked them for 3 years. Long hours went by, and days and months. But then, in the 4th year, with help from my own fickle, dog-like slave girls, they came and caught me at it. Then they shouted in protest, and they made me finish it. I have no more ideas, and I cannot fend off a marriage any more. My parents are pressing me to marry, and my son knows that these men are wasting all his wealth, and he is sick of it. He has become quite capable of caring for a house that Zeus has glorified. And now you must reveal your ancestry. You were not born from rocks or trees, as in a fairy tale." The master of deception answered,
"Wife of great Odysseus, Laertes' son, why will you not stop asking me about my family? I will speak, if I must, but you are making all my troubles worse. It is the way of things, when someone is running away from home as long as I have been, roaming through many cities, many dangers. Still, I will tell you what you ask. My homeland is Crete, a fertile island out at sea. I cannot count how many people live there, in 90 cities, and our languages are mixed. There are Achaeans, native Cretans, and long-haired Dorians and Pelagians. Knossos is there, a mighty city where Minos, the intimate of Zeus, was king for 9 years, and my father was his son, the brave Deucalion, whose other son was Idomeneus, who sailed to Troy with the 2 sons of Atreus. My name is Aethon, and I am the younger brother. In Crete, I saw Odysseus, and gave him guest gifts. A storm had driven him off course at Malea, and carried him to Crete, although he yearned for Troy. He narrowly escaped the winds and found a refuge, mooring his ships in Amnisus, beside the cave of Eileithia. He came up to town, and asked to see my brother, who, he said, was his good friend, a man he much admired. But Idomeneus had sailed to Troy 10 days before. I asked him and his crew inside, and gave them all a lavish welcome. Our stores were ample, and I made the people bring barley and red wine and bulls to butcher, to satisfy their hearts. Those noble Greeks stayed for 12 days. A mighty north wind trapped them, so strong a person could not stand upright. Some spirit must have summoned it to curse them. But on the 13th day, the wind died down. They sailed away.
His lies were like the truth, and as she listened, she began to weep. Her face was melting, like the snow that Zephyr scatters across the mountain peaks. Then Eurus thaws it, and as it melts, the rivers swell and flow again. So were her lovely cheeks dissolved with tears. She wept for her own husband, who was right next to her. Odysseus pitied his grieving wife inside his heart, but kept his eyes quite still, without a flicker, like horn or iron, and he hid his tears with artifice. She cried a long, long time, then spoke again. Now, stranger, I would like to set a test, to see if you did host my husband and the men that followed him in your own house, as you have said. Describe his clothes, and what he looked like, and his men.
Odysseus the trickster said, My lady, that would be hard to say. His visit was so long ago. It has been 20 years. But I will tell the image in my mind. Kingly Odysseus wore a purple cloak of double-folded wool, held fastened by a golden brooch with double pins that was elaborately engraved. In its front paws a dog held a down, struggling, dappled fawn. All those who saw it marveled how the dog could grip the fawn, and how the fawn could kick its legs and try to get away, though both were made of gold. I noticed his white tunic was soft as dried-up onion peel, and shiny as sunlight. It astonished many women. But note, I do not know if he had brought these clothes from home, or if a crew member had given them to him on board the ship, or some guest friend. Odysseus had many dear friends, since very few could match his worth, and I myself gave him a sword of bronze, a double-folded purple cloak, and tunic edged with a fringe. I sent him off in glory when he embarked. He had a herald with him, I do remember, named Eurybates, a man a little older than himself, who had black skin, round shoulders, curly hair, and was his favorite out of all his crew because his mind matched his.
These words increased her grief. She knew the signs that he had planted as evidence, and sobbed. She wept profusely. Pausing, she said, I pitied you before, but now you are a guest and honored friend. I gave those clothes to him that you describe. I took them from the storeroom, folded them, and clasped that brooch for him. But I will never welcome him home. A curse sailed on that ship when he went off to see Ivilium, the town I will not name.
He answered shrewdly, Your Majesty, Odysseus's wife, stop ruining your pretty skin with tears, and grieving for your husband, broken-hearted. I do not blame you. Any woman would mourn for a husband by whom she had children, even if he were not the kind of man they say your husband was, a godlike hero. But stop your crying. Listen, I will tell you a certainty. I will be frank with you. I heard Odysseus is coming home. He is alive, and near here, in Thesprotia. By hustling, he gained a heap of treasure that he is bringing home. He lost his ship at sea, and let his loyal men be killed when he had left Thrinacia. Helios and Zeus despised Odysseus, because his men had killed the cattle of the sun. So all these men were drowned beneath the waves, but he himself was clinging to the rudder and washed up in the land of the Phaeacians, the cousins of the gods. They honored him as if he were a god himself, and gave him abundant gifts, and tried to send him home safely. He would have been here long ago, but he decided he should travel more and gather greater wealth. No man on earth knows better how to make a profit. Phaedon, the king of the Thesprotians, told me this. He poured libations, and he swore to me. There is a ship already launched and crew all set to take him home. But Phaedon said goodbye to me first, as a ship of theirs happened to be already on its way to barley-rich Dulichium. He showed me the treasure that Odysseus had gained, enough to feed his children and grandchildren for 10 whole generations. Phaedon said Odysseus had gone to Dodona to ask the rustling oak leaves whether Zeus advised him, after all those years away, to go home openly or in disguise. I tell you, he is safe and near at hand. He will not long be absent from his home and those that love him. I swear this by Zeus, the highest, greatest god, and by the hearth where I am sheltering. This will come true, as I have said. This very lunar month, between the waning and the waxing moon, Odysseus will come.
Penelope said warily, Well, stranger, I do hope that you are right. If so, I would reward you at once with such warm generosity that everyone you met would see your luck. In fact, it seems to me Odysseus will not come home. No one will see you off with kind goodbyes. There is no master here to welcome visitors as he once did and send them off with honor. Was there ever a man like him? Now, slaves, give him a wash and make a bed with mattress, woolen blankets, and fresh, clean sheets, to keep him warm till dawn assumes her golden throne. Then bathe and oil him, seat him inside the hall, beside my son, and let him eat. If any of these men is so corrupt that he would harm our guest, the worse for him. He will get nowhere here, however much he rages. Stranger, how could you have evidence that I excel all other women in intelligence, if you were kept in rags, your skin all sunburnt, in my house? Human beings have short lives. If we are cruel, everyone will curse us during our life, and mock us when we die. The names of those who act with nobleness are brought by travelers across the world, and many people speak about their goodness. But devious Odysseus said,
Wife of great Odysseus, I started hating blankets and fine clean sheets the day I rode from cloudy, mountainous Crete. I will lie down as I have spent so many sleepless nights, on some rough pallet, waiting for bright dawn. I do not care for footbaths. Do not let any of these slave women in your house come near my feet, unless there is an old one whom I can trust, who has endured the same heartbreak and sorrow as myself. If so, I would not mind if she should touch my feet.
Penelope said thoughtfully, Dear guest, how well you speak! No visitor before who came into my house from foreign lands has ever been so scrupulous. I have a sensible old woman who brought up my husband. She first took him in her arms from his own mother as a newborn child. She is quite weak, but she can wash your feet. Get up now, Euryclea. Wash your master's age-mate. By now, Odysseus himself must have old wrinkled feet and hands like these. We mortals grow old fast in times of trouble. The old slave shed hot tears and held her hands across her face and wailed.
Oh, child, I am so useless to you now. Zeus hated you beyond all other men, although you are so God-fearing. No human ever burned so many thigh bones to the Lord of Thunder, or sacrificed so much to him. You prayed that you would reach a comfortable old age and raise your son to be respected. Now you are the only one who cannot reach your home. And when that poor Odysseus stays at the palaces of foreign kings, I think the women slaves are mocking him as these bad girls are hounding you. You have refused to let them wash you, to avoid abuse. But wise Penelope has told me to wash you, and reluctantly I will, for her sake and for yours. You move my heart. Now listen, many strangers have come here in trouble and distress, but I have never seen any man whose body, voice, and feet are so much like my master's.
He replied shrewdly,
Old woman, everyone who sees the two of us says we are much alike. You were perceptive to observe the likeness.
Then the old woman took the shining cauldron used for a footbath, and she filled it up with water. Lots of cold, a splash of hot. Odysseus sat there beside the hearth, and hurriedly turned round to face the darkness. He had a premonition in his heart that when she touched him, she would feel his scar, and all would be revealed. She kneeled beside him, and washed her master. Suddenly, she felt the scar. A white-tusked boar had wounded him on Mount Parnassus long ago. He went there with his maternal cousins and grandfather, noble Autolycus, who was the best of all mankind at telling lies and stealing. Hermes gave him this talent to reward him for burning many offerings to him. Much earlier, Autolycus had gone to Ithaca to see his daughter's baby, and Euryclea put the newborn child on his grandfather's lap and said, Now name your grandson, this much-wanted baby boy. He told the parents, Name him this. I am disliked by many, all across the world, and I dislike them back. So name the child Odysseus. And when he is a man, let him come to his mother's people's house, by Mount Parnassus. I will give him treasure and send him home rejoicing. When he grew, Odysseus came there to claim his gifts. His cousins and Autolycus embraced him, and greeted him with friendly words of welcome. His grandma, Amphithea, wrapped her arms around him like a vine and kissed his face and shining eyes. Autolycus instructed his sons to make the dinner. They obeyed and brought a bull of 5 years old and flayed it, and chopped it all in pieces, and then sliced the meat with skill, and portioned it on skewers, and roasted it with care, and shared it out, and everybody got the same amount. The whole day long they feasted, till the sun went down and darkness fell. Then they lay down and took the gift of sleep. When early dawn, the newborn child with rosy hands appeared. Autolycus went hunting with his dogs and with his sons. Odysseus went too. Up the steep wooded side of Mount Parnassus they climbed, and reached its windswept folds. The sun rose from the calmly flowing depths of ocean to touch the fields, just as the hunters came into a glen. The dogs had dashed in front, looking for tracks. Autolycus's sons came after, with Odysseus who kept close to the dogs and brandished his long spear. A mighty boar lurked there. Its lair was thick, protected from the wind. The golden sun could never strike at it with shining rays, and rain could not get in. There was a pile of fallen leaves inside. The boar had heard the sound of feet. The men and dogs were near. Out of his hiding place he leapt to face them, his bristles standing up, his eyes like fire, and stood right next to them. Odysseus was first to rush at them, his long spear gripped tight in his hand. He tried to strike. The boar struck first, above his knee, and charging sideways scooped a great hunk of flesh off with his tusk, but did not reach the bone. Odysseus wounded the boar's right shoulder, and the spear pierced through. The creature howled and fell to earth. His life flew out. Autolycus's sons bustled around and skillfully bound up the wound received by great Odysseus, and stopped the black blood with a charm, and took him back to their father's house, and nursed him well. Then gave him splendid gifts, and promptly sent him back home to Ithaca, and he was glad. His parents welcomed him and asked him questions, wanting to know how he had got the wound. He told them he was hunting with his cousins on Mount Parnassus, and a boar attacked him. The white tusk pierced his leg. The old slave woman, holding his leg and rubbing with flat palms, came to that place, and recognized the scar. She let his leg fall down into the basin. It clattered, tilted over, and the water spilled out across the floor. Both joy and grief took hold of her. Her eyes were filled with tears. Her voice was choked. She touched his beard and said, "You are Odysseus, my darling child, my master. I did not know it was you until I touched you all around your leg." She glanced towards Penelope to tell her it was her husband, but Penelope did not look back. She could not meet her eyes, because Athena turned her mind aside. Odysseus grabbed her throat with his right hand, and with the left he pulled her close and whispered, "Nanny, why are you trying to destroy me? You fed me at your breast. Now after all my 20 years of pain, I have arrived back to my home. You have found out. A god has put the knowledge in your mind. Be silent. No one must know, or else I promise you, if some god helps me bring the suitors down, I will not spare you when I kill the rest, the other slave women, although you were my nurse." With calculation, Euryclea answered, "My child, what have you said? You know my mind is firm, unshakable. I will remain as strong as stone or iron. Let me promise you this. If you defeat the suitors, I will tell you which women in the palace dishonor you, and which are free from guilt." Odysseus already had a plan. "Nanny, why do you mention them? No need. I will myself make my own observations of each of them. Be quiet now, and trust the future to the gods." The old nurse went to fetch more washing water. All the rest was spilt. She washed and oiled him, and then he pulled his chair beside the fire again, to warm himself, and covered up his scar with rags. And carefully Penelope spoke to him. "Stranger, I have one small question I want to ask you. It will soon be time to lie down comfortably, at least for those who can enjoy sweet sleep, no matter what. But I have been afflicted by some god with pain beyond all measure. In the day, I concentrate on my work and my women's, despite my constant grief. But when night comes, and everybody goes to sleep, I lie crying in bed and overwhelmed by pain. Worries and sorrows crowd into my heart, as when the daughter of Pandarius, the pale grey nightingale, sings beautifully when spring has come, and sits among the leaves that crowd the trees, and warbles up and down a symphony of sound, in mourning for her son by Zethus, darling Atylus, whom she herself had killed in ignorance with bronze. Just so, my mind pulls two directions. Should I stay here beside my son, and keep things all the same, my property, my slave girls, and my great house, to show respect towards my husband's bed and what the people say? Or should I marry one of them, whichever is best of all the suitors and can bring most presents? When my son was immature and young, I could not leave my husband's house. He would not let me. Now that he is big and all grown up, he urges me to go. He is concerned that they are eating up his property. Now, how do you interpret this dream of mine? I dreamed that 20 geese came from the river to my house, and they were eating grain, and I was glad to see them. Then a huge eagle with a pointed beak swooped from the mountain, broke their necks, and killed them. I wept and wailed inside the dream. The women gathered round me, and I cried because the eagle killed my geese. Then he came back, and sitting on the jutting roof beam, spoke in human language to restrain my grief. Penelope, great queen, cheer up. This is no dream. It will come true. It is a vision. The geese are suitors. I was once an eagle, but now I am your husband. I have come back home to put a cruel end to them. Then I woke up, looked round, and saw the geese still eating grain beside the trough as they had done before. Odysseus, well known for his intelligence, said,
My dear woman, there is no way to wrest another meaning out of the dream. Odysseus himself said how he will fulfill it. It means ruin for all the suitors. No one can protect them from death.
But shrewd Penelope said, Stranger, dreams are confusing, and not all come true. There are 2 gates of dreams. One pair is made of horn, and one of ivory. The dreams from ivory are full of trickery. Their stories turn out false. The ones that come through polished horn come true. But my strange dream did not come out that way, I think. I wish it had, as does my son. The day of doom is coming that will take me from the house of my Odysseus. I will arrange a contest with his axes. He would set them all in a row, like ship's props. From a distance he shot an arrow through all 12 of them. I will assign this contest to the suitors. Whoever strings his bow most readily and shoots through all 12 axes will win me, and I will follow him. I will be parted from here, this lovely house, my marriage home, so full of wealth and life, which I suppose I will remember even in my dreams. Scheming Odysseus said,
Honored wife of great Odysseus, do not postpone this contest. They will fumble with the bow and will not finish stringing it or shooting the arrow through before Odysseus, the mastermind, arrives.
She chose her words with care. If you would sit and entertain me, guest, I would never wish to go to sleep. But humans cannot stay awake forever. Immortal gods have set a proper time for everything that mortals do on earth. I will go up and lie down on my bed, which is a bed of grief, all stained with tears that I have cried since he went off to see Ilium, the town I will not name. I will lie there, and you lie in this house. Spread blankets on the floor, or have the slaves make up a bed. With that, she went upstairs, accompanied by slave girls. In her room, she cried for her dear husband, till sharp-sighted Athena poured sweet sleep onto her eyes. Book 20. The Last Banquet. Odysseus was lying at the entrance on an untreated oxhide, over which he heaped a pile of fleeces from the sheep the suitors sacrificed. Eurynomé spread a thick blanket over him. He lay there but did not sleep. His mind was plotting how to kill the suitors. Then the girls who had been sleeping with suitors slipped outside, giggling and happy to be out together. His heart was roused to rage. He wondered whether to jump at them and slaughter every one, or let them have one very final night with those proud suitors, and his heart was barking, just as a mother dog will stand astride her little puppies, bristling to fight, if she sees any man she does not know. So his heart growled inside him. He was shocked at their behavior. He slapped his chest and told himself, Be strong, my heart. You were hounded by worse the day the Cyclops ate your strong companions, but you kept your nerve, till cunning saved you from the cave. You thought that you would die there. So his heart held firm and constant, but he writhed around, as when a man rotates a sausage full of fat and blood. The huge fire blazes, and he longs to have the roasting finished. So he squirmed, this way and that, and wondered how he could attack the shameless suitors, being one against a multitude. Athena came from heaven and stood near him, at his head, resembling a woman, and she said, Why are you wide awake, unlucky man? This is your house. This is your wife inside, and your own child, the son you hope to have. Clever Odysseus said, Goddess, yes, all that is true, but I am wondering how I can attack those upstarts, who are always clustered together, while I am alone. My biggest fear is this. If you and Zeus help me to kill them, then what? Where can I run to escape my punishment? You tell me. With glinting eyes, Athena said, So stubborn. Most men trust friends, even weaker, mortal friends, whose judgment is far worse than mine. I am a goddess, and throughout your many trials I have watched over you. If we were ambushed, surrounded by not one, but 50 gangs of men who hoped to murder us, you would escape and even poach their sheep and cows. Now go to sleep. To stay on guard awake all night is tiring. Quite soon you will distance yourself, Odysseus, from trouble." With that, the goddess drenched his eyes with sleep, then flew back to Olympus. Sleep took hold, relaxed him, and then released him from his worries. Meanwhile, his faithful wife was wide awake, crying and sitting upright on her bed against soft pillows. When her sobs subsided, she prayed, "O Artemis, majestic goddess, daughter of Zeus, if only you would shoot an arrow in my heart and kill me now, or let a gust of wind take hold of me and carry me across the misty clouds and fling me where the waters of the ocean pour forth and back again, as when the breezes took up the daughters of Pandareus, after the gods destroyed their parents, leaving the daughters orphaned. Aphrodite helped them and gave them honey, cheese, and mellow wine, and Hera gave them beauty and good sense, above all other women. Artemis increased their height. Athena taught them how to be most skillful in all handiwork. Then Aphrodite went to Mount Olympus to ask Zeus, Thunderlord, to grant the girls good marriages. He knows all things, all fates, both good and bad. But Harpies seized and forced them to serve the cruel Furies. May the gods annihilate me just like them. Or may Artemis strike me dead, with my gaze fixed upon Odysseus. Let me not make a lesser husband glad. When someone weeps all through the day, quite overwhelmed by grief, but sleeps at night, forgetting everything, her pain is bearable. But I am cursed with nightmares by some god. Last night, a man was sleeping by me, just like him when he marched off to war. My heart was cheered. It seemed a vision, not a dream." As she said this, the golden dawn arrived. Odysseus heard his wife weeping, and became confused. He thought that she was standing by his head, and that she had already recognized him. He took the cloak and fleece with which he slept, and put them on a chair inside the palace, and took the ox hide outside to the courtyard, then raised his arms and prayed. "O Father Zeus, O gods, if you have brought me back on purpose across dry land and sea to my own home, after you made me suffer all that pain, let someone inside speak in words of omen, and Zeus, display another sign outside." Zeus, lord of cunning, heard him, and he thundered from bright Olympus. High above the clouds, Odysseus was happy. Then a woman, a wheat grinder, inside the house nearby, spoke words of omen. 12 slaves worked the mills to grind the wheat and barley for the king. The rest had finished and had gone to sleep. The weakest one was still at work. She paused her mill and spoke. He heard it as an omen. "Zeus, king of gods and humans, you made thunder boom from a cloudless sky, a sign for someone. Fulfill a poor slave's prayer, that this will be the last day that the suitors dine in style here in the old king's house. My knees are sore from this exhausting work of grinding grain for them. I pray this is their final meal." This sign and Zeus's thunder made her master glad, and more certain he would get revenge on those who did him wrong. The other women gathered and lit a fire in the hearth. Godlike Telemachus got out of bed and dressed, and slung his sword across his back. He tied his sandals on his well-oiled feet, and took his sharp and sturdy bronze-tipped spear. Standing across the threshold, he called out to Euryclea. "Nanny, did you women make sure our guest was honored, with a meal and comfortable bed, or did he lie there neglected? This is typical of Mother. She may be clever, but she acts on a whim. She treats unwanted guests with great respect and rudely sends the better ones away." The nurse said tactfully, "Child, do not blame her, not now. He drank some wine and chose a chair. He said he had already had his dinner. She asked him. And at bedtime she brought out a cot so that the girls could make his bed. Poor destitute old man. He would not take nice bedding. He slept outside on the porch, on oxhide and a fleece. We spread a cloak on top of him." Telemachus marched off out of the palace, with his sword in hand, accompanied by 2 swift dogs, and went down to the meeting place of the Achaeans. Then noble Euryclea, child of Ops, called to the slaves. "Now, hurry! You girls sweep the floors and sprinkle them. Spread purple cloths across the chairs. You others, sponge the tables, and wash the double-handled cups and bowls. And you, go fetch the water from the spring. Be quick! They will be coming soon. It is a festival for all of them today." They listened carefully and followed orders. 20 ran off to fetch the dark spring water. The other well-trained slaves were working hard around the house. The able-bodied men came in and chopped the wood. They knew their work. The women got back from the spring, and with them the swineherd came with 3 fat pigs, his best. He penned them in the yard to root around, and kindly asked Odysseus,
"My friend, are they now treating you with more respect, or still abusing you, just as before?"
Odysseus, the cunning strategist, replied,
"Eumaeus, may the gods avenge these upstarts for their wickedness and schemes. The scoundrels have abused me in a house which is not theirs. They show no shame."
While they were talking in this way, Melanthius arrived with 2 more herders. They were driving the very fattest she-goats from the flock, a contribution to the suitors' banquet. He tied the goats up on the portico and started picking on Odysseus.
"Stranger, are you still here, still causing trouble, with begging and annoying those inside? I promise you a beating if you stay. Your begging is not welcome. This is not the only place in Greece where there is food."
Inscrutable Odysseus said nothing. He bowed his head in silence, contemplating his murderous plans. The third and final herdsman, Philoetius, an overseer, came herding fat he-goats and an uncalved heifer, brought by a ferryman to Ithaca. The ferries also carry passengers when anybody needs to get across. Philoetius tied up his animals outside and asked the swineherd,
"Who is this new guest who has arrived? Who are his people? Where is his native land, his ancestry? Poor man, he has a kingly look. His bearing is like a lord's. When gods spin threads of pain, even great kings are made to wander far and suffer greatly."
Then he shook his hand and greeted him.
"Good morning, sir. You are down on your luck. I hope things change for you. No god is more destructive, Zeus, than you. You are the father of humanity, but you do not take pity on our pain. My eyes are wet, my skin is damp with sweat, as I think of Odysseus. If he still lives and sees the sun, he must be lost, and dressed in rags like these. Or if he has already died, oh, Lord Odysseus, I am so sorry. He entrusted me with my first herd when I was just a boy, in Cephallenia. His cattle now are countless. They would not have multiplied so well for someone else. But now these men are telling me to drive the cows to them for food. They do not care about the boy, or tremble at the eyes of watchful gods. My master has been gone a long time now. They want to share his wealth among themselves, and I keep turning over in my mind that it would not be right to take the cows and go to foreign lands when master's son is here. But it is worse to sit and suffer, just taking care of other people's cattle. I would have run away and gone to serve another king. Things are unbearable. But I keep hoping my unlucky master will come back from wherever he may be and scatter all these suitors in his halls."
Crafty Odysseus replied,
"I see you are intelligent. So I will swear a solemn oath to you. I vow by Zeus and hospitality and by this hearth that while you are still here, Odysseus will come back home, and if you want, you can watch as the boys who swagger here are killed."
The cowherd answered,
"Stranger, may Zeus make your words come true, and you would see my strength and how prepared my hands would be to fight."
Eumaeus also prayed to all the gods to bring his many-minded master home. As they were talking in this way, the suitors were planning how to kill Telemachus. But then an eagle flew high on their left, holding a white dove. Amphinomus said to them,
"Friends, this plan of ours, this murder, will fail. So let us think about our banquet."
They all agreed, and went inside the house of godlike King Odysseus. They spread cloths on the chairs and sofas, and they killed large sheep, fat goats, big pigs, and 1 tame cow. They cooked the innards and divided them, and mixed the wine in bowls. The swineherd poured it into the cups. Philoetius served bread in baskets, and Melanthius passed round the wine. They helped themselves to all the food. Then thinking carefully, Telemachus seated Odysseus inside the hall, beside the stony threshold, and he brought a table and a stool. He served him meat and poured a gold cup full of wine, and said, "Now you are sitting here and drinking wine among them. I will stop them touching you or mocking you. This is no public house. Odysseus acquired it for me. And you there, suitors, please, no blows or insults. We do not want to start an argument." They bit their lips, surprised to hear the boy speaking so boldly, and Antinous, Eupeithes' son, declared, "My lords, we must accept the threats Telemachus has made, annoying though they are. Zeus would not let us kill him, or else by now we could have stopped his speechifying in our banquet hall." Telemachus ignored him, and meanwhile the houseboys drove 100 animals through town for sacrifice. The Ithacans assembled at Apollo's shady grove, the lord of archery. Inside the house, the suitors cooked the meat kebabs, took out the skewers, then divided up the portions, a splendid feast. They served Odysseus an equal portion with their own. His son, Telemachus, had ordered them to do so. But still, Athena would not let the suitors refrain from hurtful insults and abuse, so even deeper bitterness would sink into the heart of great Odysseus. One lawless man from Same named Ctesippus, encouraged by extraordinary wealth, had come to court Odysseus's wife because he had been absent for so long. He shouted to the other reckless suitors, "Listen, this stranger got an equal share, as is appropriate. It would, of course, be wrong to disrespect a guest who comes to visit our Telemachus. Let me give him a welcome gift, so he can give gifts to the bath attendant or some other house slave here in the palace." Then he grabbed an ox foot from the basket, and he hurled it towards Odysseus, who smoothly ducked, bowing his head, and smiled in scornful rage. The ox foot struck the wall. Telemachus scolded Ctesippus. "You were very lucky you failed to hit the stranger. He avoided the blow himself. I would have thrust my sword right through your belly, and your father would have held your funeral and not your wedding. So from now on, you all should stay in check, here in my house. I used to be a child, but now I understand things, good and bad. I have to watch and put up with all this, the slaughtered sheep, the food, the wine. It is hard for a single man to put a stop to such a multitude, but please back down from your hostility to me. Or if you do still want to kill me with bronze swords, go on. I want you to. It would be better to die than have to watch you suitors acting so horribly, abusing strangers, dragging the house girls through my home, molesting them." They all fell silent. Agelaus spoke. "My friends, his words are fair. Do not get angry or argue back with him. Do not abuse the stranger, or Odysseus' slaves. Telemachus, I offer some advice to you and to your mother, with respect. I hope you can accept it. While you thought your many-minded father would come home, there was no harm in holding us at bay, and waiting, in case he came back again. Now it is obvious he will not come. So, boy, sit by your mother, and advise her to choose the best, most generous of us to marry. Then you can enjoy the wealth left by your father, eat and drink, and she can go take care of someone else's house." Telemachus inhaled, then answered, "Yes, by Zeus and by my father's sufferings, lost far from Ithaca, or maybe dead. I will cause no delay, and I will tell her to pick a husband, and I will provide a lavish dowry. But I am reluctant to force her if she does not want to go. May no god make that happen." So he spoke. Athena turned the suitors' minds. They laughed unstoppably. They cackled, and they lost control of their own faces. Plates of meat began to drip with blood. Their eyes were full of tears, and they began to wail in grief. The prophet Theoclymenus addressed them.
"What awful thing is happening to you? Your faces, heads, and bodies are wrapped up at night. Your screams are blazing out like fire. The ornate palace ceilings and the walls are spattered with your blood. The porch is full of ghosts, as is the courtyard. Ghosts descending into the dark of Erebus. The sun has vanished from the sky, and gloomy mist is all around."
At these words, they all laughed. Eurymachus spoke up. "This new arrival has lost his mind. Quick, fellows, throw him out. Make him go to the marketplace. He thinks it is like night in here." The prophet answered,
"Eurymachus, I will not ask for guides.
I have good eyes and ears and feet. My mind is working perfectly, and I am leaving. I sense some evil coming for you all, who sit here in Odysseus' house, tormenting and oppressing other people. Not one of you will get away." With that, he left the palace and went down to meet Parias, and was welcomed there. The suitors, with glances at each other, tried to tease Telemachus by laughing at his guests. "What awful luck you have with visitors! Here is this dirty beggar, always wanting more food and wine, who is unskilled in farm work or fighting, a mere burden on the earth. That other one just stood there prophesying. Now, listen, I propose a better plan. Pack up your strangers on a boat as slaves, send them to Sicily, and make a profit." Telemachus ignored the suitors' words, and watched his father quietly, still waiting for when they should attack the shameless suitors. The beautiful Penelope had wisely set up her chair to face them, and she listened to what each man was saying. They had killed numerous animals, and made their banquet with laughter. But no dinner time could be less welcome than the one the mighty man and goddess would soon bring them, in revenge, because they started it and wronged him first.